All right, y'all know I usually don't go in with UFOs and weird things like that, but today I'm going to make an exception. We're looking at one of Vlad 9VT's collages or picture sets that he's got. There are weird events that happen, and these three events are locked in with each other. Three separate people saw these same events, and then another event happened in the one on the right 5 years later than that. Now, these accounts are documented, and what they are saying is that there were all different multicolored balls in the sky. They were huge, and that some of them had fallen to Earth due to an actual war that they were having. So they said that 14th of April in 1561, the inhabitants of Nuremberg saw a horrible sight. Later, they described as an air battle. The sky was filled with cylindrical objects, all of which appeared red and black, different colors, orange, and crosses, giant pipes, giant metallic rods, and what looked like broken cylinders. But these were our pillars, which were giant, though giant. This wouldn't have been a pillar out of a temple. These things were in the sky at size. Odd shapes objects that are moving erratically across the sky. These events lasted about an hour, and Hans Glaser painted that engraving that I showed you to start with, the one that's right here, these two. He describes that they fell from the sky to the ground like a fire and formed on the land area below. Huge clouds of smoke and a triangle object fell somewhere outside the city. To some extent, the strange phenomena was repeated again in 1566 over Basel, which was what the other picture is here, in the sky, causing panic among their population. There were many colorful balls in the sky. Now, this version that they saw, but they saw a bunch of black balls, some gold and some peach kind of golden balls, but black balls everywhere, right? In this painting that's right here was a describing of the sky turning to fire and brimstone falling from the sky. I think nowadays we could probably equate this to an asteroid strike or perhaps a multiple asteroid strike in this area, and that would be fire from the sky. It wouldn't necessarily have rained fire, but yeah, if you get a meteor to come down and it blows everything up, that's fire rained down from the sky. And of course, even during this times in 1600s, we would have still believed that that was God somehow hurling something at us. Now, in August of 1566, over Basel was observed in the big sky inclined pipes, long shafts, in which there were balls and spheres in those shafts. At the same time, it was observed near a large number of black spherical objects flying at high speed in the sky. After some time, they made a half turn and began to collide and fight with each other. Some of the objects became flame red. It has been seen by almost all inhabitants of Basel, they said. They poured into the streets. This incident has become world famous thanks to the ancient engraving that we see here. Now, in 1566, the year spherical objects were over Munster, Germany also. On May 21st, 1646, amazing celestial sign was also seen, observed of the vast majority of the Western Europe and England all the way to Holland. Multiple accounts of this happening. And this is this over here, where they're saying there's multiple UFOs in the sky and that they look like two balls turning inside each other, or what we would think of as a gyroscope type object. There's a bunch of these small pictures here, and we'll go into those as we go through this thing a little bit more, but here's the colorful balls, and they're all in the rods, and you can see there's broken, kind of this end's broken, of like pillars and things in the sky, and these crosses, they said were multicolored balls attached together, flying together in unison, spinning, and there were even some crosses in the sky. Later we'll see a few more of those also, but so this is over Basel, Switzerland. My parents were married there. My dad was in the service back then, so this interested me a little bit, and I got into it a little more. Now, these little objects you see down here are in the backgrounds of other paintings that are famous throughout time. And we're going to take a look at those too. But this is the one that I was talking about a moment ago, where they have the giant black balls that are all floating around. Now, the odd thing is that a few of these accounts seem to coincide with what would have been plagues of the area at the time, and plagues that ran rampant. In Nuremberg, they told you they saw people, gods, fighting in the clouds, giant gods fighting in the clouds, One was killed. In 1608, about the 1st or 3rd of August in Nice, France, they recorded seeing 3 on-fire spherical objects attacking or coming at the shore. In 1608, on August 15th, in Genoa, Italy, they recorded the same thing. If you can see it up here very well, that's what they looked like. Here's another depiction of it. They're shooting cannons at it, and they're actually firing against these things. And they're spheres, and there are fires in the water all around them. They recanted that they had fire. At first, I thought this must be a sterile of old Greek fire, but no. Here's a comet in the sky that they saw in 1604 in Cataluna. Now, it was said to have changed directions, though, but different than a normal comet. But people dismissed that, and it could have just been a normal comet. Here's another picture of a giant comet coming real close to Earth with its size of its tail. Does not depict what we would normally see. I mean, normally a comet's tail is a little more an inch long. It wouldn't look like that. Another depiction over here shows you this arcing comet flying over, something that was easily in our atmosphere, flying over. So I'm sure it struck someplace, or it could have had that explosion effect, Tunguska crater thing where it doesn't quite hit the ground. Even over in Persia, they drew something like this, a sideways pointed cylinder bullet looking thing with little windows all over it that was up in the sky at nighttime, but they could see it. It was lit. There are coins from the time that actually show you this weird flowerette with metallic objects attached to them, and a bunch of different ones. This is a coin from 1656, something seen over the ocean. Here's a weird account up here top left where they knowingly had a storm far away, but not where they were, but yet the storm far away shot lightning all the way to them, which was strange. They blamed it on that when it blew up the house. Now in 1661, you have this picture up here, and this with the multicolored balls, and again these limbs and columns floating all around. You can tell this is during Puritan times. Well, maybe not with that guy there. I can't quite get it over to it, but the guy just to my left here is a little Puritan hat wearing guy, Amish style. Maybe you can see it right there. And I'll bring it back up. Odd occurrences in the sky, big gleams of light, giant waves, big balls of light in the sky. This is a comet streaking over what would have been primordial London. San Francisco on the docks, they're showing you something that looks like that flowerette object. Here are those Hamburg, Germany things, 1697, where they look like gyroscopes. Sometimes there's just some weird stuff in the background of pictures. Sometimes it's right in your face. Sometimes they show you things like this here on the right, where they're showing you death coffins. Then they're showing you skull and bones. And they're showing you this asteroid coming down and hitting, which would have been in the lake or the water, probably causing a giant tidal wave that may have killed off a lot of these people. Not sure why that depiction's there, why they have openings in the sky and things. Is this just them mentally projecting these concepts, or are they actually seeing something? Like in this here, we'll look into it later, but they show what you believe is the sun, but it looks more like a balloon type object. It's got that same flowerette type thing on the bottom of it, and right next to it here are what looks like stars, not clouds. Here's another shooting star. Even in Indian areas, we have this weird looking UFO guy here, and look at the little UFO up there. So there's a lot of this. There's cave paintings all the way up to more modern times. We're looking at more modern stuff here now because it's what's in his thing, but it's a vid compilation of that. Now here we see one of those coins again, and I don't know what we're supposed to believe they're trying to depict here, but that looks definitely like some spherical UFO type of object. It's not even round like the sun. It's just a strange depiction. There are carvings showing me flying objects in places. In the background of this one, look at this weird object here. We're going to look at 6 or 8 that have that in them. The one in the top left is this. This is supposedly predates the plague. And they said that there was a lot of blood rain and black rain. And then the plague happened. Well, if you look, there's a shooting star going this way, and there's a shooting star going up that way. What what is this supposed to depict? People are naked, wallowing around, animals in sorrow. And what is this? This is the leg of a deer just floating in the air. Upside down leg of a deer just floating in the air right there. I mean, it's a weird depiction, but they want to let you know this, and this coincides with the plague type thing. Well, it makes you wonder if they didn't have like a volcano or something go off, upwind from them, and then that soot and ash and the rain you'd have from that, and did that somehow pollute things, cause a sickness back in the days? Well, they were sure starting to blame it on it. I mean, they blamed it on asteroids, they blamed it on any weird celestial phenomenon, but eclipses, or an asteroid coming down, that was God's thing. Look at this odd picture that shows fairies coming down from God up in the sky. And these aren't angels, they're fairies with little dragonfly wings. Again, here's the one from Persia, and this one up here on the top is in the background of one of our pictures that we're looking at. And it would be strange, you'd say, well, that must be the sun and some clouds, but the sun's actually over on the other side of the picture. They have it. Even on cave drawing and sketches, there's a place called Pecq-Merle in France, and these are known to go way back 10,000 years, and they're showing this man that's here with these objects. It looks like, hey, it floats up, and then there's one in the air. Back then they weren't wearing cowboy hats and sombreros. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Another depiction shows one going here and going up. It almost has that Eye of Ra effect. I don't know if it shows up good enough in there, but it almost has that Eye of Ra effect. Is this just what we're calling the rising of the sun? Is this some depiction of that, or is this some other depiction? Well, you'd say in this one, that's, it's the rising of the sun, but then you look up here, that's the sun in that picture, right? Here's a horse. There's more animals. That's a mammoth. So, oddities there. And then, of course, these cave paintings of these guys that almost look like some kind of weird freak creature. And then what's this Batman thing over here in the corner? And what's this Batman thing right here in the corner? Same picture. And how about these two objects? And then one showing a propulsion off of it, perhaps? Cave sketches have shown objects like this. And I study symbology, and these don't necessarily go with much of anything, although this type effect here, if it had another orb on the bottom of it, would be a ruach, the ancient ideology symbol for supposedly the wind of God that causes everything. Whenever it talks about and God hovered over the face of the waters and the ruach of God, I've often said that could be an alien ship because it looks like an alien ship. But yeah, so even back in caveman times, there apparently is these weird things on the wall you can't explain. Some of them look odder than others. This is that weird figure that Sitchin tried to show, but a lot of people have noted this, that this actually is a man sitting inside of a craft with engines on the back, it looks like, even a fin, but his head's been broken off. Look up here at the top, you can see his head's been broken off right there, kind of clean. But you see this Michelin Man tire thing that he looks like he's wearing, right? And then you look at something that they had from at the same time in South America, and it has this same Rivoli type look. He almost looks like he's wearing a full spacesuit or like a deep diver's suit for sure. So it's an oddity that goes in with that. And look at it, it's hand-sized here. They just had it in a drawer, supposedly, and Sitchin had him pull it out, and he started talking about it, and then they put it on display, but when they put it on display, they said possibly faked object, which was strange. There's a lot of depictions like this one right here, where you can see this man in glory, and what is this disc up here that's beaming down light? There's just some theology thought that's projecting this, because nowadays this looks very conspicuous. It looks like some other event totally. Maybe it's a little better enhanced in this picture that's laid over it. You can see it's even got something in the middle of it there, a blob that looks like there might be a person up in there or something showing of it, and it's the exaltation. Here's an odd picture too that people, you usually just go right past it. It's in one of the frescoes, but when asked, this was supposed to be when Mary got pregnant. which you find odd because this is so much later than that, and these are the wrong type of buildings, and just everything's wrong. Well, here's an angel that's set up like Mercury, right? You see that? And he's talking to a bishop. Now he also has the Egyptian snake on his forehead, right? But this is Hermes, or Hermes Trismegistus, thrice. Now look up here and you see angels floating around in the sky. And then right here you see this object, which we'll go close on here in a minute, but it's making a beam go right through the window and through the wall and into her brain. That doesn't, that's weird. And again, it's a witch's house too, with all these, it looks something that it's got some stuff going on. So you get a close look at it, and it's a bunch of cherubs around in a circle, babies, little cherub angels all around in a circle. There's a symbolic 2 doves. And the gold that was there was actual gold leaf scratched on. Here's an odd depiction here. Here's this Christ rising in front of everybody. Supposedly they saw it. Now, oddity in the Bible, they say that there was an eclipse that lasted all day long and for hours versus the 7 minutes of a full eclipse. And in the sky, there's this thing flying by. It's got a person's face on it, which just doesn't really fit. But it's right above where the apostles are in that picture. There's another picture of just these ladies here, Byzantine-type ladies. But am I to believe somebody just outside the door threw a Amish hat up in the air, or what the hell is that? This is the tallest building in the town. It's 3 stories. Here's 3 stories. The castle top edge are 3 stories. And that thing's just way up there, just floating. More ladies in Elizabethan England, but what's that up in the corner right there? Somebody throwing hats around a lot? What's the reason for the hat throwing? Or is that a hat? There's other depictions like this. Now, this is supposed to have been Joseph carrying Mary, but you see these castles behind him, which is odd. But then, what's this X floating in the sky? Well, it was said a long time ago that's probably a bird, but you can see people draw birds much better than that. That's not a bird. It's just it's almost a pirate. X marks the spot. Arg, right there in the sky. That's Jesus. This is Mary. That's Joseph. Here's another one that's supposed to be a witch, and that these people have come to talk to her, that she is an oracle. And in the oracle picture, it's got that same weird sun, and you can see up here it's got the stars in the sky. When you get a bigger look at it, her hand's on something weird. It looks like a wheel. Well, whenever you get a better close look at it, it actually looks like it's some type of wheel of fortune. Hint, hint. And these people are coming to get her reading, and they're way in a row, and these priests are coming too, but they're making note by looking at this, which is somehow floating in the sky, and it doesn't look like it's in the distance, and it doesn't look like it's the sun far 93 million miles away. It looks like that thing's floating in that valley right there. Could just be bad perspective. You look at things like this, and it shows you fruitful trees in a time of non-harvest. All the other trees are bare, and then there's an angel or something speaking to this monk. When you look at the other trees, though, everything else is bare. You can tell this is the wrong time of year for them to have that fruit. We're supposed to believe there's fruit in that. Well, they used to make babies too, real ugly. I mean, they would try to put some adult face on them. There's a bunch of like horrid baby shots from back in the day. Here we again have what looks like a peach, but they haven't found peaches yet. In the distance over his shoulder are a whole bunch of those X's that are supposed to be birds. So is this a flock of birds? If it is, then why are all these people down here looking at it? They're not looking at her and Jesus and stuff. They care more about this thing going on. Here's Jesus clearly putting his hands out going, look, spaceships right here by my hands. But this we're led to believe is the moon, and this is the sun. And then you see another depiction later where they're doing it, and then here we go again with this is the moon, but that's a comet, and this is the sun, but that's a comet. And this is the sun. This is the sun in another mosaic made out of thousands of tiles that have those We affectionately call those jellyfish. They look like that. Or perhaps they look like the ghost in Pac-Man you used to run into. Jellyfish is a little more known. What is this? This is floating right above these people. It's glowing, floating, and it's got them looking up at it. Even the dog's interested in it. It's a picture of man on a shore with a shepherd near him here too, watching over a flock, and they see apparently an angel in the clouds. You know, if something like this happened in a modern day, it would really bring a lot of attention to things. Here's another picture of Mary and Joseph going with a donkey. But there's other people with them. Here's a picture of the sun, and you'd have to say this is the sun. And they've actually taken gold foil, put it over it, and drawn lines through it, pulled it off a few times, and made it look like the sun. And the gold foil is still there, and that's a good depiction of the sun. This is the sun behind some clouds causing beam to come out. I mean, this just makes sense whenever you look at the projections like this. So if that's what the knowledge level and the artistic level is during that day, what's this comet with people in it crap? Why do they show floating Jesus with a dagger going through his head that's very much reminiscent of the King of Hearts? Hint, hint. They show you pictures like this. Oh, one interesting thing, and I did a video a long time ago about it, is the artistic outlays and around the books that they have. That's just the extra filigree they put onto them. Sometimes it's real conspicuous. They have snails and all these things. But they also, during this time, started going out of the frame. So you can see it kind of going out of the frame there. It gives it more of a 3D quality. Now, here's a weird thing here. They say that Jesus came up, everyone freaked out. They heard the trumpets and horns sounding, and that there was a streak of fire in the sky. The women came out, and they all got naked and started mourning. Now, this is actually a scene of somebody who would be mourning for Tammuz in the Bible. But it even says the queen came out. Where is she? Yeah, look, here's the queen right here with her crown on. And that's the princess. I'm guessing that's the king. I don't know, right there behind her. But they all came out. But it's all just women. It looks like, really. I don't know if that last one's a guy. I don't know. You can't tell. The rest of them you can tell are women. What a strange occurrence. And it doesn't look like he's in the distance. Now look what's below him. That's the sun. So he's the sun. And his light after the storm makes a rainbow. Here he is shown in the skies above Rome. This picture was found in England. Here's an ancient coin. I think we showed this one to you already, but here's a closer look at it. What is this supposed to be? It's a wheel in the sky. Wheel in the sky keeps on turning. What is this? So on one side, it's got liberty and a worker. And on the other side, it's got a UFO. 1656. 1648 here. Burgundy. What is this? Why are there arrows raining from the sky? We've seen this one before too, but this is similar. 1656. So showing up in coins right there at that same time from 3 different cultures of these things that have a flower on the bottom of them. They're metal in the sky. Here's an odd depiction. This is supposed to have been Mary having her second child. And there he is. And there's Jesus as the baby brother that's a little older. And that's all cool. Weird thing is in the sky there's 3 extra stars lined up almost like Orion, but not quite. There's the sun. And over her shoulder is this in the sky. If you look at that, it's kind of a glowing black weird disc. And they even show you that there's a man here looking at it with a dog, and they're staring up at it. Again, another depiction of over the shoulder where no one's paying attention to Jesus being born or his brother. They're paying attention to these UFOs. That's not the sun. The sun was on her left shoulder. This is on the right. What is that? because they sure are interested. You can tell they're looking right at it. It's a better look at it. Some of this just doesn't make sense, and I don't mean to confuse you more, because you know the direction I'm usually going in with all this. Balthazar was known to have chased a star to a certain point where he got below it and then met a priest. The hell is that? It just says that. Here's a picture of Jesus in the sky with a whole bunch of spaceships. Or those supposed to be clouds. This kind of looks like a cloud. It just looks like a whole bunch of, I don't know, maybe that person is terrible at drawing clouds, but here they are. Are they like little storm clouds? Storm clouds are a big boa, 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 puffy cotton. What is this? Looks like an invasion kind of thing in a modern day. When you look up close at these comets and things, there's somebody inside of them. Looks like they're driving a directorate. They're looking back at people. They're doing things. They're dressed. And this is up in the corner of a Jesus photograph. Or not photograph, but fresco. Here's an odd depiction right here. This is supposed to have been Moses smashing the tablets. Right here. There's a city behind him, though. He's not just apparently on the Mount Sinai or anything, but there's an actual city that's there, which makes no sense. And then if you look up in the sky, there's something weird. They say brimstone is falling, that sparks are falling from the sky, and if you look up here, you see all these little gold filigree squiggles. I don't know what that's supposed to indicate, but here's the book in his hand. He's just about to throw him down when he's all ticked off. I don't see a golden calf, and I see castles and stuff. So, of course, medieval people, and artists, and you cash it off to just weird things. And is this like the Scream in the sky where they've got little depictions, or what's that supposed to be? It looks more like movement. Here's another depiction of Moses. And in this depiction, he has horns. You see that. If you'll Google image Moses with horns, you'll see hundreds where it shows that Moses, once he came down, had horns. What are these blobs right here? Well, they investigated. They said something that was caustic must have gotten dropped onto it in little drops, and it caused that part to go bad. Then they looked at it and no, that's paint. Why does Moses have horns? Here's one of those jellyfish cruising up from Jesus. More jellyfish. People draw this picture over and over again. It must have this symbology with it. You've seen 6, 8, 10 of them. 11, 12. We keep going with it. Jesus. Gabriel. And jellyfish. Kind of an odd depiction. Up in the corner. Shooting stars. But shooting stars are angels? In their mind? Shooting stars are angels? That looks like Ariel. Is that Gabriel? Here's a man reaching out for a star. There's a bunch of coins that have this on there in this symbology, and I believe this is supposed to be Mithra or Sol Invictus, the ever unconquerable sun. You can see it. Generally always done with a 6-pointed star. I think only one. This one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it has one extra line through it. The rest of these are all 6-pointed stars. Now this, during that same time period, is what a sun would look like. You can see it's casting light across these things, and it's a sun, and it's got gold filigree around it, and that's a sun. So if that's a sun, and it's common for people to do stuff like that, then what are things like this that show you there's 100 angels floating in the air and people swooning up to things? This is from 1480. Made by Francisco Rossellini. Here's a tent that above it has, I don't know what the hell that is, but that's a tent. There's a door. Here's all these people, right? And an odd one. You look at the pictures next to him on the wall, it has people floating in the air. It has Jesus and everybody just almost on the ground. He can almost touch his feet. People trapped inside of what maybe Jesus' cave. That's Jesus. Well, who's this? And then depictions like this in the corner where he's coming out of a vortex or a portal type of thing that the cherubs swirl open and make a vortex. You know, these could just be their own mental concepts, but look, it's a priest man flying along. He's going zoom. This is blowing in wind in his hair, and he's driving this thing. There he is. And the only weird thing is Jesus is right here. So here they are again with that kind of jellyfish looking thing, but not quite. Here's Jesus, passed away, supposedly made it back up to heaven. There's only a few problems I have with this. They're laying up on storm clouds. Here's all the cherubs and angels around. And Jesus is supposed to be resurrected, so he was back alive before he even went up there. So what is this moment? And when they show God, that's Kronos. We don't have a sickle in the picture. If we had a sickle in the picture, that's Kronos. That's not our normal depiction. What is this? And then you look at what their feet are on, and it's that ball with that line around it that we were seeing in those earlier pictures from over 100 years before this. Little Death Star ball. You can tell that's Jesus' foot with a hole in it there, and Kronos' foot next to him standing on a round world, I guess, or an oval. Well, did they know the world was round? Well, here's a painting before the time of Copernicus or any of those guys that kind of indicates it was. I think that's a round earth. The only people I can find had a round earth are the ancient Sumerians. Not the Akkadians and guys, but ancient Sumerians. Angels visiting people and the stories of them. Beams of light bringing down divinity upon people. Beams of light bringing divinity on people, meeting angels. Beams of light making people enlightened, angels. This is basically the pantheon of the ancient Sumerians, and it does show you how it connects down here in the red to all the Egyptians and where they would be. You can see Enki here listed as Enki, Ea, Awanes, Ptah, Poseidon, El, Diabol, Neptune, Dagon. Also, though, later as Diablo and Devil. And if you'll remember in the Bible, whenever the serpent talked her into eating the apple, that he said that he would forever be on the bad side of mankind. They will bruise their heel, and all these things were happen. Well, how are they going to, when at this time Enki was known as the creator of the world, so how are they going to make people believe that he wasn't the ruler of the world? One strange Sumerian tablet leads an idea. He tells them that he's going to make people hate them and associate him with their fears and turn him into a god of evil. So in that story, Enki was the creator. Enlil came in and screwed it all up, and the only way for Enlil to take over was for him to turn Enki mentally in people's minds as the devil. You see this. It's not just about a lady that grew from a rib and ate from a magic tree because a talking snake told her to. That's not what the story's about. But yeah, I've got better connections than this. I wish I could put my whole thing up that I've got, but it connects a lot more people to this, and Sumerian gods and so on too. So there's a lot of connections with that. Again, I don't play with UFOs too much, but they play with me. They make me have to look it up and things, and this just got too interesting. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Peace.